Who doesn't need a quick laugh to go along with some food for thought? Hello, I'm Dan Hill, the host of Scrambled Eggs, tips and tactics for tackling tough business problems. Today's guest is Todd Domke. He is a media strategist and the co-author of Cain and Abel at Work, How to Overcome Office Politics and the People Who Stand Between You and Success. It's a book about how calculating Cains sabotage innocent Abels and how Abels can learn to win out over Cains without stooping to their level. First, I've been giving you 5 terms and diabolical definitions to go with each of those terms from my book, Blah, 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 A Snarky Guide to Office Lingo. There's a little truth in every joke. Of those 5 options, which one is your favorite and why?
Well, your term for The Office as the movie set for a dystopian film. I thought that was amusing and oh so true. And it's interesting to me, though, to read with COVID, we're now working remotely, a lot of us, and yet The Office still is wherever we are. You know, we're still connected. So even though The Office as the workplace has changed, what that can mean as far as being a jungle with an organization fraught with peril, it still applies. And so I thought your saying it's kind of dystopian, it can be, it is quite good. A lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people feel certain threats within the organization to their status, maybe even to their job security. So I think they can relate to that idea that it can be something that's kind of frightening at times.
Sure. And I would say no matter where the office is, whether it's remote or actual physical location, ultimately the office is those inches between your 2 ears. It's what you carry in your head and your heart.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it's easy for a lot of people to allow into that mental space there obsessions about competitors in the workplace. And I'm not talking about competitors in the sense of corporate rivals, but within the organization who they might be paranoid about, who they might fear is actively trying to undermine them.
And rightly so, quite possibly.
That's true. In many cases, it's absolutely right.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you, as the saying goes.
That's right.
So let's now jump to your book, Cain and Abel at Work. What's a key term for you from that book, and what does the term mean for you?
Well, we say that being right can be wrong. So in trying to explain for innocent Abels how conniving Cains can be, we try to get them across it, try to get across them that a lot of times just being right and making your case for something doesn't necessarily mean that you'll prevail. And for example, the conniving Cain, from their point of view, ability is less important than deniability. So a lot of times they're very cagey about, for example, not taking a clear position on something until the outcome is certain, so that they can steal credit, you know, as if they can say, I told you so, even when they said very little. In fact, they realize the truth of something Cardinal Richelieu once said. He said, if you give me 6 lines written by the most honest of men, I will find something in there to hang him. And so and that's what Cains understand. They can twist things. And so that's why they often try to avoid putting something in writing, because then they could be held accountable. Whereas Abel's, innocent as they are, to the point of naivete sometimes, will put themselves out there, take a stand for what they think is right, which is a great praiseworthy thing, but it can get them in trouble.
Somehow, when you're saying all this, it brings to mind James Baker. I read that he was the consummate insider and knew how to do the office politics. And one of his ploys was he would send a flood of paper trail stuff to rivals so that they were, bogged down by having to read all this stuff and couldn't spend their time dealing with his machinations. Quite clever.
Jim Baker was very shrewd, the ultimate campaign manager and chief of staff to presidents, because he knew every trick in the book. And yes, I remember talking with him once about something, and he also could have anger. So, but he could use that as well as part of his power, right?
Yeah, no. So one last thing here then. So a quick tip or tactic for tackling the business issues that, plague us all.
Well, I think for Abels to understand that they should not ignore office politics. And of course, your book is all about office politics and getting across the dangers of skullduggery and how people can be grandstanding and all the rest of it. And I guess I would point out to them that while office politics is kind of a negative term, as if it doesn't belong there, they should realize that sometimes it's not necessarily a negative thing. I mean, it can mean team building, building a coalition, being more diplomatic, understanding things from others' points of view. But they have to get over the idea that just being right and being able is enough. They have to realize that politics, yes, it can mean compromise, but it means building your case, making your case, and winning friends and influencing people. And regardless of what kind of work you do, generally, that kind of politics is part of it.
Yeah, and I would say that the same skills you need to hone in the office are going to help you actually with clients, and you do need revenue when it's all said and done.
Absolutely right. Where you at least pretend that the customer is always right, for example, even when they aren't. Right.
Sure, absolutely. So I want to thank you so much. This has been Todd Domke. He is the author of Cain and Abel at Work: How to Overcome Office Politics and the People Who Stand Between You and Success. An absolutely wonderful title. And this has been the first episode of Scrambled Eggs with your host, Dan Hill, the author of Blah, 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 a snarky guide to office lingo. Thank you all.
Good to be with you, Dan.